Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part podcast, you have major automakers lowering their MSRP, but still won't get the sub 20K. So maybe someday we'll get there, but not anytime soon, at least for the short time. Now, this comes with thanks to thedrive.com, specifically Beverly, who's a writer over there, who says, quote, "Good news, automakers are working on cheaper cars because that's what we can afford. Bad news, we're still going to be stuck with crossover SUVs, and trucks. The sub 20K car remains a pipe dream," which, yeah, I mean, if there's no tariffs and, we just had no laws for, if we were to just dramatically reduce our regulations, emissions, all that stuff, yeah, you could definitely get those price points back, but no. There's a reason that sub 20K price point exists on other countries in the planet, just not in the United States, which is a shame because now the average car or new car sold in the United States, I believe the price point is specifically, geez Louise, the average price of a car sold in the United States in 2024, in December specifically, was $49,740, which is insane. That's according to Kelley Blue Book's latest findings, which is still insane. The same average loan payment per month is $256, which to me is unfathomable. I struggle just to make I love my Chevy Cruze Eco, but that was about, $330 per month when I had that thing back in the day. And granted, I did buy it used, but I love those stick shift machine. But yeah, it is one of the most expensive, extravagant things Americans buy these days is automobiles, and the price points are just, it blows my mind. It's just, I don't think sustainable, which is reflected with consumer debt increasing more and more. Now they say, quote, "They're all about dat base," which I don't think that's a real word, but is a reference to a song, I believe. And they say, "In models, lower priced cars are coming with automaker consensus during last week's National Automobile Dealers Association show, which is good news for consumers on the affordability front. Just don't expect cheaper vehicles to be anything exciting." According to Automotive News, the likes of Ford, Mini, Mitsubishi, who? Oh yeah, they're still around. It is so sad that Mitsubishi made icons like the 3000 GT and the Lancer Evo and the Eclipse, and now they make boring, rudimentary crossover SUVs, with the Eclipse now being called an SUV, which is, as an enthusiast, quite anemic and disappointing when you consider, well, although perhaps not you're not really going to stimulate your brain too much in terms of deep intellect, but a fun movie is the Fast and Furious movies, and the first one, the Mitsubishi Eclipse, was one of the hero cars in the beginning. That fun little green thing was awesome. But nevertheless, Mitsubishi somehow is still around in North America for all 18 people who want to buy it. They also note that Dodge Ram, will also be lowering their MSRPs of existing crossovers and trucks by introducing new base or lower end trims. Even Tesla is on the cusp of new affordable models, likely variants of the Model 3 and Y, according to Autocar. Now, they say that for their efforts, General Motors and Volkswagen have already reaped the benefits of their bottom-of-the-barrel models, while Stellantis recently reintroduced a bargain minivan, which, yeah, I still forget they're in business. Now, they say if you're looking for news of a sub-compact $20,000 Mitsubishi Mirage or Nissan Versa, were brought back from the dead, or a non-current CUV would cost less than $20,000. Stick shift base Miata 3, everyone, which, that would be fun. A stick shift Mazda 3. They say if you're looking for that, you're going to be searching for a long time. Just because automakers decontent models or bring prices down doesn't mean they're going to do it with lower profit margin vehicles, i.e. cars, which, again, people wonder why Ford got out of cars years ago, with the exception of the iconic Mustang, because they weren't making any money on it. I mean, even when GM was selling the Chevy Cruze, which I thought was great bang for your buck. I love that little thing. I mean, even the Chevy Cruze, the dealerships would lose about $475. The only way you made money was GM would give you like a $100 gift card if you sold one. And the dealership would, ideally, to make a profit, you'd have to sell things like financing as well as accessories. I mean, cars, those little subcompact cars, are dog crap when it comes to, profitability of company. you just pray that they buy it, and someday they buy an SUV or truck where, I mean, a dealership might lose $500 on a Chevy Cruze, but if they say sell a Chevy Silverado, they make like 10 grand. It's in, again, this is when was I in the auto industry? That was 15 plus years ago, but the concept's still about the same. It is insane that the consumer perception of trucks is so strong that they're willing to pay such a premium over cost. It is a fascinating phenomenon, and people think that they last longer. Yeah, well, if they're American made, usually not, but that's a perception, man, it sells, which makes sense. They're not going to discount cars, and they're already losing money on most cars. Now they say the crossover is king. The Encore GX and Invista, both subcompact crossovers, had a gangbuster year last year as Buick's best-selling vehicles of 2024, which, that being said, that means they probably sold 25 units, because how many people do you know buy a Buick new? I mean, usually you inherit them when a grandfather passes away, which is how my dad got his. It's something usually, unfortunately, inherit. You don't cognitively make a decision to buy, at least as far as I know. Although they did make, what was it? The Regal GS had a stick-shift Turbo 4 engine with Brembo brakes, which for a Buick was pretty cool. But besides that, past couple decades have been mostly just a sneeze or snore show. They say the redesigned Chevy Trax had the best model year-over-year sales increase for Chevrolet and was the third best-selling model overall. The small CUV starts at $21,495 for this LS model and tops out at $25,395 for the active model, misspelled ACTIV. Go figure. All of which cost less than the still in inventory base Malibu, which is at $26,995. Other sub $30,000 vehicles from Chevy are the Trailblazer and Equinox, which, yeah, they also know that they're going to kill the Malibu, which, I thought was a good staple for the brand. Never anything exciting to buy, but I always thought it was a good sedan for the portfolio, and some people would buy it, obviously. Now they say there could also be cheap Chevy trucks in the future, too, if the Bowtie brand were to follow its Southeast Michigan frenemies. Automobile News said Ram is planning a lower tier 1500 trims after dropping the 1500 Classic, and Ford has a midsize truck due in 2027, but not before it gives dealers more of the F-150 STX, a trim that costs nearly 40% less than the fancy premium, which it's also, I mean, the premium F-150s are comical. We're talking 6 figures for a truck, which, unless you're a farmer or construction worker, I can't fathom wasting that much money on a vehicle that you can't write off or depreciate. It boggles my mind that there's so many pavement queens where they just go to Home Depot once a month and get some mulch. And yet people are spending so much money on those trucks. And they're all automatic. Where's the fun in that? The exception of the Toyota Tacoma, but I digress. Now they note that Rob Clay, Ford's U.S. sales director, noted that the lower priced trims could also be region-specific based for need. For example, hybrid trucks for Florida and 4x2 models with high tow ratings for Texas. The base Bronco also returns to 2025, and Ford plans to have cheaper versions of the Bronco Sport and Maverick, which is good to start off with, the premium price so you can start to recoup your investment. Because again, when you first start a vehicle, every new vehicle is a $700 million to $1 billion gamble from an automobile manufacturer. It's a huge risk. So again, want to sell the most profitable vehicles up front or the beginning, so that way you can hopefully recoup as much as possible. So it makes sense for them to maybe come out with these lower trims later. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much they increase in value. I've been saying for years, these cars and trucks have way too many features that you really don't need. I mean, maybe heated seats, which you could debate are, not new. They've been around since Cadillac patented it like 70 years ago, give or take. But no, I think it was about 70 years ago. But nevertheless, there's so many things that can go wrong because you have so many new whiz bangs and, widgets thrown into the vehicles, and it all increases the cost of goods sold to the consumer, which I debate you really don't need. And again, these days, I don't know how people can afford this average monthly payment of $756 per month. And there are people getting 72 plus month loans for these vehicles, which, boggles my mind how someone could actually afford that. But let me know in the comments. Some automobile manufacturers were hesitant to do this in the past because, again, they're worried they won't make as much profit because you could force the consumer to go to the higher, the fancier model or trim level. But let me know your thoughts because, as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.